Have you ever noticed that the busier you get, the harder it is to stick with your healthy habits like consistent exercise? Well, if so, you're definitely not alone, but you are in luck. Because today I'm going to give you the one strategy that will completely change the way you think about staying fit with a busy schedule. And that's coming up next right here on Own Your Calendar. Welcome to Own Your Calendar, the go-to resource for online business owners, coaches, and course creators who want it all: a profitable business and the time and energy for yourself and the people and things you love most. I'm your host, Stephen Box, and I'm here to help you build the systems and habits that allow you to escape the chaos and start living life on your terms. Welcome back to another episode of Own Your Calendar, brought to you by Unshakable Habits. I am your host, Stephen Box, and today we're talking about really how do you become consistent with your exercise, or really any healthy habit for that matter, but we're going to focus on exercise today when you have a crazy schedule. So before we jump into this topic, I want to give you guys a quick number, because I told you in the beginning that if you're having this problem, you are definitely not alone. So recently, there was a survey done of coaching clients entering into a coaching program, and 62% of the participants said that they had trouble exercising regularly because of the demands of daily life. 87% said they find it difficult to deal with stress at least some of the time. 89% of those who work say that they deal with moderate to high job stress, and 88% of caregivers deal with moderate to high caregiving stress. So let's kind of put this in perspective. If you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, whether it's running your business, whether it's taking care of children or an aging parent, chances are you are dealing with a lot of stress and you may not be handling it particularly well. And that's not a judgment. It just is a fact. That's what the numbers tell us. And here's what I can tell you from personal experience of coaching clients for over a decade and even knowing my own history. When things get crazy, the first things that usually get dropped: exercise, nutrition, and sleep, the trifecta of self-care. The crazy thing is, exercise is considered one of the best stress relievers around. Yet, it's the first thing that a lot of people abandon when stress gets high. And to make matters even worse is that stress tends to decondition us. There was a study done where they looked at people who were consistent with going to the gym. They put them into these two different categories: people who were away from the gym for something like a vacation, and someone who was away from the gym because they were dealing with stressful stuff. And when they came back to the gym, what they found was the people who had been dealing with stress were more deconditioned. They were in worse shape than the people who were coming back from the relaxed state, the vacation type scenario. So what this says is, if you are abandoning exercise when things get crazy, not only are you removing a stress reliever from your life, but you are actually accelerating the deconditioning process by having that stress. So it's kind of a double whammy situation. Okay, so if this is so bad, if, abandoning exercise when things get crazy is so horrible, why is it so easy to do? Why is it that so many of us fall into this trap? And the answer is very simple. There is nothing we as a species love more than a good do-over, right? I mean, think about it. How many times have you started a diet and said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and eat whatever I want this weekend. I'll start back on that on Monday, right? Or, you know what? I'll start going back to the gym after my vacation. And I think that one of the areas that I've seen that this really happens, and it's very interesting. I grew up at the time where Nintendo came out, was very popular, the original NES. And on those games, they were very challenging. And for anyone who is my age, I'm 46 or older, you know how hard those games were. But the thing about those games is they were always the same. So if you were to die on a level or you messed up something, you start over, you know what's coming up. You can easily fix it. And I think this kind of encapsulates the concept of what people think is going to happen when they start over. That they're going to know what to do next time. They know what they messed up on, right? I wasn't perfect, but I can be next time because now I've learned things. I know what to expect. But unlike a video game board, life isn't the same. You're not going to deal with the exact same challenges. There's going to be things that are going to be different this time around. So the things that you think you learned may or may not be beneficial to you. But I get it. I understand why people take this mentality because you want to do your best. We all do. It makes a lot of sense. And it feels like if we just start over, we can give ourselves that fresh start and we can get that do-over and we can do things right and we can get even better results. But here's a reality check. You don't get better results by constantly stopping and starting over and trying to get 100%. You get the best results by showing up consistently. And that's where I really want to share this concept with you today, this strategy that's going to help you change the way you think about staying fit. It's called the dial method. And it's something I learned when I was working at Precision Nutrition. I have several certifications through them, and this is something I learned in my certification programs, is this idea of the dial method. So picture a radio or television dial, whatever you want to put it on. But this dial has numbers. Now, normally there's an off button, but for our purposes, there is no off button. Our dial goes 1 through 10. So think about this for a second. I want you to imagine the perfect week. Everything goes according to plan. You're going to be able to get in the best workouts of your life that week. What would that look like for you? That's a 10. On the other hand, let's just say that somebody lit this week on fire and everything around you is absolute chaos. What could you still manage to do? Like, what is the smallest thing? Or I guess I should say, what is that small thing that's still like the largest thing that you feel like you could handle every day, even in that chaos? That's your 1. So as an example here, a 1 might simply be doing 10 air squats when you get out of bed. Something super simple that you could do even if you aren't at home, right? And a 10 might be doing 60 minutes of daily physical activity. Now your job is to go fill in the rest of the blanks. What does it look like to have 2 through 9? How does that progress upward? Now, if you're like me, the objection that you have right now is, how is that going to help me stay in shape? Don't I need to work out hard every day to see great results? Great question. Thanks for asking. I used to be this way too. There was a time in my life where I was doing 45, 60-minute workouts on a regular basis. And then I was trying to grow my business and have a podcast and be a better husband and still have time for a social life and find time to relax and lead Bible study and all these other things. And I didn't have time for hour-long workouts every day. And I kind of had that mentality, that all or nothing mentality, that said, well, if I can't do my hour-long workout, what's the point? I'll just skip my workout today. Well, probably you could guess that it didn't take long for me to go, man, I've missed a lot of workouts here lately, right? So part of the value in the dial method is not necessarily about the exercises you're going to get at the lower levels. It's about mentally checking in every day. Now, I remember when I had my rotator cuff surgery, which was about 6 years ago, there was a period of time where I couldn't do anything at all. I was in a sling. I had stitches. They told me I couldn't do any kind of exercise whatsoever, not even walking, because I couldn't get any sweat into the stitches. And it drove me insane. But you know what? Just doing a little something like going, okay, yeah, I'm going to take, a couple trips up the stairs, or just like little things that I knew really wouldn't break a sweat, but at least let me feel like I was doing something. And it really kept me mentally checked in. And honestly, I didn't put two and two together at the time of what I was doing. I was implementing the dial method and I didn't realize it. So that's why when I learned that concept later, it was such a game changer for me, because instantly I went, oh, I see the value in this, because I did that and I didn't even realize I was doing it. But the idea here is the lower level stuff is to help you just stay engaged. And you want to go as high as you reasonably can. So yes, I gave the example of one, which is like super easy, but maybe you're at a 2, right? Maybe you're at a 3. Maybe you're at a 4. So it doesn't always just have to be like, oh, you just are at 1 or 10. That's the whole concept here. So you can be anywhere in there. And ideally, you find yourself somewhere between about a 5 and an 8 most days. 10s are going to be rare. 1s are hopefully going to be rare. If you can say somewhere between about 5 and 8, you're actually going to get in shape. Now, are you going to be shredded? Are you going to look like you are trying out to be the body double for the next Superman role or the next Marvel movie? Probably not. Probably not going to happen. But let's be honest, a lot of us genetically and at our age, even if we're at 10s every day, might not look that way. So that's okay. That's not a big deal. But what I do want you to understand is, if you can be in that middle range most days, you're going to be able to get in pretty good shape. And you're going to be able to stay in good shape. And it's going to be sustainable, because you're not trying to kill yourself all the time. And you're not skipping workouts. You're actually showing up and being consistent every single day. And honestly, that is the big game changer, is if you can just show up and be consistent. So guys, if you enjoyed today's episode and you would like a little bit more insight on to the dial method, I will include a link to a PDF in the show notes where I will give you my dial. And that way you can go in and you can see what a full dial actually looks like based on what I do. Now, I will caution you, don't just try to copy my dial, because my dial is specific to me. It's something that I have worked on and tweaked and changed multiple times. So it may not actually work for you. So I encourage you to use it as inspiration, but to tweak it and make it yours and try to figure out how that's actually going to look. Also, if you loved today's episode, if you are listening to us on Apple, would you please consider following the podcast and also scrolling down and leaving us a review. Those reviews are how new people find the podcast and know that this is a valuable show for them to tune in and listen to. Now that I've given you some tools to help you get more consistent with your exercise, make sure you join me on the next episode, where I will be talking about the 7 things that losing 80 pounds taught me about productivity. Until then, this is Stephen Box reminding you, as always, today is a great day to escape the chaos and start living life on your terms.